Book of Genesis, chapter 12, verses 7 and 8. And the Lord appeared unto Abraham and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord, who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto the mountain on the east of Bethel, and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. And there he builded an altar unto the Lord, and called upon the name of the Lord. So last time we have seen chapter 12, 7 and 8. Last time we have seen chapter 4, verse 25 and 26. The 26 last part. And then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. So second time it is mentioned here as a prayer in Genesis chapter 12. And Abraham began to call upon the name of the Lord. So if you look at the history after chapter 4, till Noah's time, there are two distinct lines of the children of Adam. One who are born to Cain and another born to Seth. So those two lines, that children of Seth started calling upon the name of the Lord. And it went up to Noah. So there they maintained a proper devotion to the Lord, and they realized that Jehovah, the one who has made a covenant with them, is going to deliver them, and they used to pray or call upon the name of the Lord. Now, after Noah, so then the Lord appeared unto Noah and told him that, so it is only 120 years. Then Noah built an ark, and then it is all the people who were the line of Cain, even other people who are the line of Seth, except Noah and his children, everybody was perished. So though they maintained a different line that appears between Seth and Noah, there were many people who are also in the line of Seth had perished. Only Noah and his 3 sons remained. And after that, so now in chapter 9, in chapter in chapter 9 and verse 20. And Noah began to be an husbandman and planted a vineyard. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. So then we see the sin of Ham. So then that Shem became a different line than Japheth, who is supposed to be living under the tents of Shem and enlarged and blessed. And Ham became the cursed man. So up to Noah's time, whatever may be the different lines, everybody perished. From Noah again, God picked up Noah because he was found righteous in the sight of God. Now, within that, again, three sons. That Ham was the man who was within the family and with the father in building the ark for 120 years. But in spite of that, there is a different nature which was shown forth through him. Then there was a curse upon him. So after this one, we see in 10th chapter, verse 7 and verse 6 onwards. And the sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim, Put and Canaan. And the sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sapta and Rama and Saptika, and sons of Rama, Sheba and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it was said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. So here we see a great mighty man appeared on the screen. Now his name was Nimrod, that means hunter before the Lord. So there again we see a different tendency which is being developed towards God. It is against God now through the line of Ham. Now when we come to chapter 11, and the whole earth was one language and one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed east, and they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And there they built a tower. And verse 4. And they said, Go to, let us build it as a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So now, as these descendants of Noah started increasing and replenishing the earth, and now the connections are becoming loose. They are scattered, and they are being scattered as the increase of the numbers are growing. Now they said, now let us build a city so that we may concentrate. And a city and also a tower which may reach unto heaven. So this is what God has told in the beginning, Adam and Eve replenished the earth. Now they wanted to build a city. So in the time of Cain also he built a city. Now again we see the same tendency. So in the line of Cain, we saw that he was a natural man who was thinking self-sufficient, not regarding sin in his life, and he thought he can please God by offering something. And ultimately, his descendants found joy in the music, mechanical arts, beauty, and adoration of the woman. But once that is gone, but now again the same kind of things are being developed. But the Lord has to come down and disperse all the crowd, and the languages were all changed. And then he said, verse 8, so the Lord scattered them abroad thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. There was the name is called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. So that is the beginning of the languages. The many languages were born, and the people were scattered, and the different life began to develop. So now, even when Noah and his children, they were saved from the flood, but yet because of the nature of the sin, we could see a different kind of an attitude being developed against God, even in the children of descendants of Noah. So that was the time. Now God appeared unto Abraham and called him. That we see here in the last few verses of chapter 11. Verse 29. And Abraham and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abraham's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, and the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. And Sarai was barren, and she had no child. And Terah took Abraham his son, and Lot the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai his daughter-in-law, his son Abraham's wife. And they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. And they came into Haran and dwelt there. And the days of the Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. So this was the line of Shet after Babel, and this line was recorded. And when we come to the life of Abraham, Terah took Abraham and his son and Lot, the son of Haran, and his son's son, and everybody came to a place called Haran, and from a place called Ur of Chaldees. So this Ur is coming from a name called Huir. It is a city of moon god. So Abraham were the worshippers of the moon. See, book of Joshua, chapter 24. Verse 2. And Joshua said unto all the people, Thus said the Lord, the God of Israel, Your fathers dwelt of old times beyond the river, even Terah, the father of Abraham, and the father of Nahor, and they served other gods. And verse 14, same chapter 24. Joshua 24:14. Now therefore fear the Lord and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve ye the Lord. And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served were beyond the river, or the gods of Amorites in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. So the Abraham, Ur of Chaldees, the probability of worshipping the moon god. And that is what Joshua was referring to. Our fathers have worshipped other gods beyond the river. So that time when they were coming, and before coming, leaving the Ur of Chaldees, they were the idol worshippers. So now coming back to Genesis chapter 11, we saw that Terah took Abraham and his son. The book of Acts chapter 7, verse 2. Brethren and fathers, hearken. The God of glory appeared unto our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia before he dwelt in Haran, and said unto him, Get thee out of thy land and from thy kindred, and come into the land which I shall show thee. Then came he out of the land of Chaldeans and dwelt in Haran. So what is recorded in Genesis chapter 11, verse 31, is after God appeared unto Abraham. First God appeared unto Abraham in Ur of Chaldeans and told him that you get thee out of this land. Unto our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia, and said unto him, Get thee out of thy land and from thy kindred, and come into the land which I shall show you. So when God appeared unto Abraham, so Abraham should have left his father and the land and should have gone alone to the land which the Lord wanted to take him in. But instead, in chapter 11 we see Terah took Abraham his son. So instead of he taking the lead, then his father took lead to bring them out. So God of glory appeared to Abraham, but Terah took the lead to bring out Abraham and his wife. So that means whatever Abraham was told by God might have been communicated to his father, and father took charge of the journey. But that was not the plan of God. That is why they need to halt or stop at Haran. And when Terah died in Haran, then in chapter 12, verse 1, now the Lord said unto Abraham, get thee out of the country. Again, it is the second time God appeared unto Abraham after his father Terah died. So, again, we go back to Acts chapter 7, verse 2. The God of glory appeared unto our father. So, this is the first thing we should notice. When they were idol worshippers, now God of glory, when he appeared, so that was a life-changing situation for Abraham. So when he was worshipping the idols and the moon god, now God of glory appeared and changed the entire situation connected to his life. So the glory is nothing but the knowledge of God or the light of God, which he could see, the holiness, the plan, the purpose, and also his sinfulness. And when that is happened in any person's life, then it is a complete unimaginable change which would occur, corresponding to the glory or the light which a man sees in about God. And that is what has happened in the life of Abraham. So once that happened, then he came to now first Haran. Then again God appeared unto him, then brought him to the land of Canaan. So this is uh, when a person grew there and idol worshipping, and he never went back to the land. So completely cutting off the relationships. So we can all imagine when we are leaving our where we were born and come to a different country, all our soul and psychological emotions and affections connected to the place where we were born. So when God told him, in the light of the knowledge of the glory of God, then all those things Abraham could cut it off. Or even if he had, then he could really modify those all emotions and stay separated unto God. So that is what we all need to understand first. So it is not something now physically cutting off the relationship with our where we were born, but our old nature, wherever we were having a habit of worshipping something, connected with something, or to glory in something, in the light of God, or in the light of the knowledge of God, or in the very his glory when we understand, then all those things, when God asks us to leave those things, and we need to come out of it. And that is what ultimately Abraham did it. So when we now come back to chapter 12, verse 2, and I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and be thou a blessing. So now the Lord is speaking to him that I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and I will and make thy name great, and be thou a blessing. So now it is God is promising him. He is going to make him a great nation. He is one person, not having any children yet. And also I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and be thou a blessing. Not only God is going to bless him, and he will going to become a blessing for many people. So it is, and that is the situation which God has brought him in, and gave him the promise that God will make him a blessing. be a great nation, a blessing, and make him as a blessing to the other people. So all these three promises which God has given him. Now we see here in chapter 4. So Abraham went as the Lord had spoken unto him, and the Lord went with him, and Abraham was a 75-year-old when he departed out of Haran. 5. And Abraham took Sarah his wife, Lot his brother's son, and all their substance, and they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. And Abraham passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the oak of Moreh. And the Canaanites was then in the land. And the Lord appeared unto Abraham and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord, and appeared unto him. Now once they came, Abraham, Sarai, and Lot came to and entered into the land. God again appeared unto him, Unto thy seed I will give this land. And Canaanites were there in that land. Now you see the journey in it is close to the Persian Gulf, or about south of Babylon. From there he took a journey to first Haran, and Haran to now Canaan. And in that place, that is the land which the Lord has promised to him. But the Canaanites were living there, and God told him, this land, he is not going to give it to him. This he is going to give it to his seed. And he did not have children yet. And that was the a promise which God has given him. But when he did not have a children, then God is telling him that to your children I will give this land. So when he began his journey, that he was supposed to enter into the land, promised land, thinking that he is going to inherit the land. But now God is telling him that this land will be given to your seed. So one thing, that he will have children, and his children's children will going to inherit the land. But when he came into the promised land, and the way anybody would expect that he would inherit the land, now instead of inheriting the land, the Lord is telling him that his seed will inherit the land. But the understanding what made Abraham was given to him was, this land is going to give it to your children, but for you, there is a promise of a different kind of a promise. The book of Hebrews, chapter 11. So, verse 8, 9, and 10. By faith, Abraham, when he was called, obeyed to go out unto a place which he was to receive for an inheritance, and he went out, and not knowing whither he went. By faith, he became a sojourner in the land of promise, as in a land not his own, dwelling in tents with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for the city which he had foundations, whose builder and maker is God. So now, coming from the land of Ur to Haran to Canaan, and in Canaan the Lord appeared unto him and told him that your seed will inherit. But while the seed is going to inherit, he did not have any complaint about that. And he lived in tents as a sojourner, and looking for a city which is going to come from heaven, and the city builder and the architect is God himself. So earlier, a man who was living for the earthly and worshipping the idols, now not God of glory appeared, brought him to a land, and told him that you are going to inherit this land, but not you, but your seed, but your inheritance is going to be in heavens. So when a man sees the glory of God and understands and who he is and what is he and what is his plan for our life, and that is, it is easy for them to get connected. Their plan and the purposes, plan and purposes of God for their life is connected to heavenly things. So here, the land where they were living, it is filled with the Canaanites and other people. Now, for a believer, you can see when we are brought into the light of God, or God who has commanded the light to shine out of darkness has shined in our hearts to give the knowledge of the glory of God, and which is shined in our hearts to bring the light of God, who he is, what is his plan, why he created me, what is his purpose, what is he going to do with my life. And when that is revealed to a man, and now he did not have even a single 1 foot of land here, he could have defeated the people and captured the land. And there are many other methods that when his brother's son was captured, then he fought with 5 kings and brought everything back. But as far as himself is concerned, he never tried to attempt anything, to own anything on the earthly place. So he exercised such a faith that he lived in tents, and he also taught Isaac and Jacob that we are sojourners and the pilgrims here, and just not having any hope of the heavens. If a man has to live in tents, it is impossible. When you are opened up to the things of the heaven and the clear picture of why I have been created here, what is the God's purpose in dealing with me, why did God call me, what is that God working in my life? When we understand that one, and we have the real realization of the city which God is being built. So when the Lord was here, he told his disciples, I will go and prepare a place for you. That is in heavenly places. So our inheritance is in heaven. So the believer, the way by faith Abraham did understand, though earthly promise was given in the beginning, but later on it was revealed that he was called for the heavenly city. And by exercising faith and living that kind of a life, he became a blessing to many other people. So he was the first order in the line where he has shown to us how by faith he can see the things which are heaven and live that kind of a life, though he could have many opportunities to establish himself on the earth. So in another place we see, book of John's Gospel, chapter 8. Verse 56. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. So it was, while he was here, he was made to see the day of our Lord Jesus Christ, that is, the ruling of the Lord Jesus Christ in the coming dispensation. So when he saw that the Lord is going to come and rule the earth here, that time then the man who has realized, so there is a clear purpose for his life, and the descendant who is going to save the world, because all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. And that is the day where everybody will be blessed, the time of our Lord Jesus Christ ruling. Then it was, he didn't have any kind of a struggle and never went back to Ur, and even not allowed his son Eliezer to take his son back to Haran. So such a cut-off relationship, completely separated and consecrated to the plan of God, one man, such a devotedly lived unto the purpose of God. So it is every believer now, those who are all given the understanding what for we have been called, and what is the God's dealings in our life. It is day to day. Though we have the ability to make something great on the earth, but this is not the place for us. And we have been called for the heavenly calling, heavenly purpose, heavenly glory, heavenly inheritance, and that is all for we need to look at. Now, when that was made known to him, then verse 7, and the Lord appeared unto Abraham and said, unto thy seed I will give this land. And there he builded an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. So now, with a thankful heart and with all the questions settled in his heart and faith exercised to believe that this is what God is going to do, and a worshipping heart, then he built an altar. Then we see in verse 8, and he removed from thence unto the mountain on the east of the Bethel and pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Ai on the east. There he builded an altar unto the Lord and called upon the name of the Lord. So this is second time mentioned, said, called upon the name of the Lord. So last time also we have seen calling upon the name of the Lord based on the background and also looking forward how they can be protected and saved. Now the Lord name is Jehovah, that is Yahweh, the one who is same yesterday, today, and forever, the covenant keeping God, promise keeping God. So now all these promises which are given to him, and now realized that he has to live on tents as a sojourner and a pilgrim here, and look for the city which is going to come hereafter. And as his life is going to be in this manner throughout his life entirely, so he needs strength and look unto the Lord, to the one who is going to fulfill all the promises. So what should be the prayer of then Abraham when he called upon the name of the Lord?
To fulfill the promise. The heavenly promise.
What's the question?
What should be Abraham's prayer?
Now when he said Abraham called upon the name of the Lord, what did he?
What did he pray for? What would he have prayed for?
He will one day be heavenly.
Same like Lamech, to give comfort from the toil.
So there are two things. One, in his entire life, he has to live on a foreign land. And the foreign land was filled with the Canaanites, all the tribes which are against God. And he has to sojourn in that enemy's land, or where the evil spirit filled people are dwelling. So it is then the Lord has to protect him from the enemies. Secondly, he also need to be kept by the power of the Lord, not to move because of the foreign land, living in tents, and any eventuality where the enemies, because he is all alone, and the people can really attack him and put him down. So the protection from the Lord to take care of him. And thirdly, you need to have the continually seeing the things which are invisible, the heavenly city, invisible God, and learn to walk with him every day in the light of God, where everywhere is the darkness is prevailing. But he has to walk in the light, and he has to remember the promises, and he has to live by faith on towards those promises. And that was the prayer. Right now, when we come unto the Lord, what we should call upon is this: Lord, your promises are so great and high and heavenly for us. We, in a mortal body, living here on the earth, and everywhere, every day, there is a struggle. We need to remember ourselves that we are sojourners and the pilgrims here on the earth. And that is one thing which is troublesome for us. Abraham had to leave the land, people, everyone. Now you imagine a family has to move from one place to another place, cutting off all the relationships, putting everything into the side, and only maintaining a right relationship with the Lord. It is very difficult. But on that one, that he found grace in the sight of God by faith. And every time in our physical and soulical relations, and continue to bother us or hinder us not to look unto the heavens and not to look unto the promises of the Lord, then where the soul and the spirit continue to struggle in us, and that is what we need to bring it before the Lord. Unless we leave those things behind, because those relationships, even a son, father, mother, everyone, the relationship ends here on the earth. It doesn't have any relationship on the heaven, the same relationship. So we need to realize that one, what for we have been called for. And what is that which are now trying to hold the reins very tightly and wanted to hold our relationship to the earth and the earthly relationships. But when we have been called to walk in the light of God towards the promises of the heaven, if our relationship is not maintained in a stronger platform with the Lord and looking unto the heavenly vision and promises of that hope, then it is a struggle for us. And that is what I would pray. Lord, I am very weak, and my relationships continue to bother me and continue to hinder my relationship, maintain your relationship with you. And you have called for a wonderful purpose here and also in heavenly places. The heavenly places, the inward work needed to be done in my life. And here, I need to set an example so that this is what for my life is. So this, I need to express my trust in the Lord and receive the strength from Him, and that should be my prayer. See, either from Cain to Seth, the way, the nature of the sin which worked in a man differently. From now Noah to Abraham, we saw every time there how the nature of the sin works in the man. But when God calls us, and when we recognize the authority of Him and understand the purpose of God for our lives, and when we do not make a complete separation, and it is going to be a tough call. So we need to understand that. So the more I see the glory of God, and the more I see the light of God, and the more I have the knowledge of God, and the more I understand His plan and purpose for my life, and even in a slightest way I could really understand what is the day of the Lord and He rules the world, then for which I have been called to be the partaker of that glory. And whatever is now impeding me not to enter into those promises and that glory, and stopping me not to walk in that light, every kind of separation which needed to be made, and I need strength, power, and grow in faith to bring that separation entirely only for the service of the Lord. Because He is the one who called me is faithful, and the one who has called me to the fellowship of His Son is faithful, and the one who has called me to the wonderful plan, purpose, and the inheritance and the blessings is also faithful. So I remember Him. In Him there is no change. He is same yesterday, today, forever. He is going to fulfill those promises. So I will trust Him. I come to Him and pray, Lord, this is for I have been called. This is for we have been called. And we all have different kind of struggles. But now we raise an altar. We come to you. We bring our petitions. Look at us and fulfill Thy promises. And we may learn to live what is the meaning of the living as a sojourner, as a stranger in the promised land. And not looking for the things here, but looking upwards, and bless our life. So when our prayers and thoughts and the emotions and the affections connected either physically here or to the matters pertains to the world, then our heavenly vision will go dim. But if the other way around, when your heavenly vision is brighter and full of light, then all these things do not matter. And that is what happened in his life because he saw the God's glory and everything became easy for him.
We can say Abraham's devotion to the Lord. And every day in my life, I have to see that.
Every
See
one of
God's
us,
way.
yes. Praise the Lord.
Walk backwards. It's so difficult, as you said.
It is very
We
difficult.
have to face the narrow way. God has
That is what we need to pray. Lord, this is my life, and that is what you wanted me to be. So between this and that, there is a lot of gap, and I need your power and support.
As
But
Joshua
still,
says,
He's faithful.
Hmm?
Even I fail, He is faithful.
as Joshua says, choose this day
Or whom do you say?
So,
whom you serve. So this is a choice we have to make. And that when we make those choices, we have to pay the cost for the choices. Maybe that's relationship, maybe that our job or something like that.
Relationships are very tough to
Yeah, relationships
sacrifice.
very because they are so close to us, it's blood. Yeah.
Yeah, we understand each
yeah,
other.
that's one. Yeah.
Hmm? Yes.
Praise God. Thank you, Lord. It's true. Every day,
Uncle, in
I bring my
Titus chapter 2,
Hmm.
verse